Ken Buck.
All right, Congressman, I'm going to turn it over to you. You've been in the news recently on this debt ceiling fight. What is going on there?
First of all, I got a great tie. Anybody wants one of these ties, $5.50. You can have a great tie. There you go. The media kept asking me, you're objecting to this bill. Do you want a default? And I said, it's not if, it's when. We're gonna default as a country. We're, in the next 18 months, because of this wonderful deal that the Republicans made with the Democrats, we're gonna add $4 trillion of debt at a minimum. It may very well be more than $4 trillion, but we are going to add $4 trillion of debt in 18 months. Take that out a little ways. The Biden budget had us at $58 trillion in 10 years, and the Republican budget had us at $53 trillion in 10 years. Folks, we don't survive that. And so we either fight now or we fight later. And there's so many media types out there that are supporting, Speaker McCarthy, supporting Leader McConnell. There's so many media types out there that think that the thing to do is just to be a team player. I told them on one of the news shows, I'm not on Team Republican, I'm on Team America, and Team America is going to go down if we don't change this.
What were the conversations like within the Republican caucus on this vote? Because there was a number of them, good ones, including Congresswoman Bobart that voted against this. Give us a sense behind the scenes what was happening there right before that vote happened.
Yeah, well, I was amazed how many people that I didn't think, non-Freedom Caucus members, people who vote towards the middle a lot, voted with us. I was really amazed that we had so many no votes. But I think a lot of people understand that this 50, 60, 70 trillion dollars of debt in the very near future, just we can't survive. So the conversations were real simple. Ken, you've got to vote for this. No. That's how simple it was.
Why can't I'm not that old, but I've been around this long enough to I can't get past the fact that we can't solve this debt issue. Republicans just seem to be slower at accumulating debt than the Democrats do. So we're just on this, like you mentioned, this freight train right off the cliff into big economic problems. Why can't Republicans get this done? Why don't they have the passion to get this done?
So think of it this way. The Democrats are taking this freight train off the cliff at 100 miles an hour, and the Republicans are taking this freight train off the cliff at 80 miles an hour. When you hit the bottom, it really doesn't matter whether you were going 100 or 80. It may be a few years difference, but it really doesn't matter. But here's the hard, cold reality. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, what we call in D.C., what they call the entitlements, are what drives our national debt. And so as Republicans were saying, well, part of this answer has to be we need to raise the retirement age. We have longer life expectancy now than we did 30, 40 years ago, so we've got to raise the retirement age. Democrats are saying, well, this cap where you don't have to pay into Social Security after your $140,000, up to $140,000 you pay in, over that you don't. That doesn't work. So Democrats want to increase that. We call that a tax increase. We're not for that. They don't want to see the age raised, and so there's a stalemate. So at some point, if we want to save Social Security, save Medicare, save those programs, and reduce the debt, the trajectory that we're on, we've got to start working on those entitlement programs. Now, for the first time ever, I heard a candidate for president say we need to work on these, and that was Mike Pence on his town hall the other night. But other than that, nobody has talked about the real important issue.
Do you think it will be in this upcoming presidential election? I mean, we're going to hit this debt ceiling, we're going to hit this default. The economy is not doing well. I think we all feel this, like it's sputtering. there's a malaise. I think one other president used that term before, over our economy right now. Is this going to have to be a major issue in 2024? And do the Republican candidates not only just need to talk about it, but have a plan for this?
Well, what President Biden did was unconscionable, and what the Democrats did was unconscionable when they spent more money at a time when it was going to result in inflation. Everybody knew it was going to result in inflation. And so the malaise really comes from overspending on the federal side. If we underspend on the federal side, we will actually invigorate. We'll lower interest rates, we'll have more capital investment, and we will invigorate our economy, which will produce more revenue and in turn help us reduce the national debt. So there is a way out of this, but it's going to take strong leadership to get out of this. And right now, neither party has strong leadership in Congress, and hopefully we get a strong president.
Let's talk about the House Freedom Caucus. How are things going there with your colleagues in the House Freedom Caucus?
You know, we grew and we are more divided than I've ever seen the House Freedom Caucus. There are some people in the House Freedom Caucus who voted for this debt bill. There are a lot of us who voted against it. There's a handful of us. It really started with 7 of us who decided we were going to shut down the floor this past week. And understand something. You know, the speaker says, well, but we had this great bill. It would have stopped the Democrats from, stopping new development with gas stoves. Folks, that never passes the Senate. It never gets signed by the president. So we have messaging bills that we can pass from the House. But the reality is we've got to deal with spending and force the Senate and the president to deal with spending. So we will keep the House floor shut down until we start getting answers from our leadership, Republican leadership, that takes spending seriously, and we start dealing with this. Jeff, folks, I don't know. We have 1,118 programs, okay? 1,118 programs that are unauthorized in the federal government. So what does unauthorized mean? It means when they passed a program like the Endangered Species Act in 1973, it had a 5-year sunset on it. It went down, finished over in 5 years, unless it was reauthorized. So in 1978, it was reauthorized. It has not been reauthorized since, and every year we increase the spending to the Endangered Species Act. There's 1,118 programs like that in the federal government. So we have a House rule that we pass every Congress, Republicans and Democrats. You can't appropriate money to an unauthorized program. Makes sense, right? We waive that rule in every appropriations bill. And we appropriate to these unauthorized programs. So here's the question for you. Republicans, the Speaker said when he wanted to be Speaker, spending is my #1 priority. How many hearings do you think our committees or subcommittees have had on unauthorized programs to make sure that we're not wasting money and to take a hard look at these 1,118 programs? Anybody want to take a guess out there? How many programs? Zero. We've been in power 5 months, and we have looked at 0 unauthorized programs. Folks, it is a bipartisan bankruptcy. I understand why in Colorado, the largest voting bloc are unaffiliated voters. I get that, because both parties are at fault. And if we don't start to develop muscle memory on how to spend less, how to be fiscally responsible, we're never going to get it done, and we're going to see our country vanish. That's the sad reality. And by the way, I'm a very happy person.
Well, you're a fighter. And let's go back to the very beginning of your career, because you and, was it Speaker Boehner at that point? You kind of ruffled some feathers back then. So you've always kind of gone the independent line in your career. Give us a little insight into how that results in your working relationships with the Speaker.
So when I first ran, I said to my constituents in the fighting 4th Congressional District, I am not going to D.C. to make friends, and I have succeeded. And especially folks in leadership, I have not made friends. And there's a price to that. I have a lot more gray hair than I think I would have had otherwise. But the reality is, every time you ask for something, they get something in return. That's how the game is played. You want this committee assignment, you need to vote for this appropriations bill. You want this office, you need to vote for this appropriations bill. You want anything you want in Congress comes at a price, and the price is always more spending. You want and we have plenty of needs in the 4th Congressional District for highway funds or some other issue. You want that? You got to vote for this other appropriations bill over here. So it is, there is the term quid pro quo wasn't just developed a few years ago. It's been around for a long, long time, and it's absolutely the way the game is played. I don't play that game. I haven't voted for an appropriations bill in years. I think I voted for 2 defense appropriations bills when I first got started because I felt like we need to make sure that we have a strong military, but I don't vote for any appropriations bills. You know what, Jeff, the military, they can find some ways to cut. Yeah, one of them is, and I've struck this out every single time, and they add it back in the Senate, and then it passes in Omni, the Office of Climate Change in the Department of Defense. Gone. It will be gone again this year. I'll offer the amendment. It will pass, and it will be put back in by the Senate. There are so many programs in the Department of Defense that we can cut, make sure that we train our service members better, make sure we give them better equipment and weapons, but we can cut all kinds of stuff in every agency if we're going to save this country.
So Ken, we've just got a few minutes left here. You represent a fantastic district I live in, good people. The kind of eastern plains of Colorado. What are you hearing from your constituents? What are their top issues that they're most concerned about?
You know, it is a diverse district also, Jeff. By the way, he calls me about every 3 days to yell at me about something. It's not easy having Jeff Hunt as your constituent.
By the way, before you go into that, Ken has been wonderful to have a number of CCU students intern in his office, and I want to thank you from Colorado Christian University for giving them that opportunity. Go ahead, Ken.
I can remember a group of CCU students came in, and they were at a conference table, and I came in, and I explained to them that in D.C. we're at sea level, and in the Denver area we're at mile high, and you are much closer to God when you are at mile high than you are when you're at sea level. So that's why we call one the swamp and we call the other God's country. It's just night and day. But I forget the first question.
What are you hearing from your constituents?
You know, as I said, it's diverse. I hear from some people that they want folks to unify, that they're sick and tired of seeing the parties yell at each other and fight and not get anything done. And then when I talk to them about, well, where are you on guns or where are you on this issue, they are divided. And so there's a reason that the elected officials are divided, because the population is divided. And absolutely, we have a lot more friendships and get a lot more done than anybody ever sees. But that's one big issue, is to make sure that the elected officials are working together to try to solve problems. Another issue I think that's huge, they're just sort of pocketbook issues, inflation. I just went and got some gas on my way down here. Gas is on the way up again. It makes sense. It's summertime. People are driving more. You got more demand, and the governors, like Governor Polis and others, are reducing supply in this country. So we're going to see gas prices go up during the summer. But inflation on food and gas and so many other areas, obviously from the eastern plains, especially northern Colorado, we have a lot of issues involving energy production. And why are they shutting down energy production here in America? We have an energy policy that makes no sense to most people, and we've got to get some common sense approaches to energy production in America.
Well, Ken, I appreciate all the fighting you're doing on behalf of the constituents of people like me who want conservative values, and especially on this budget, a willingness to push back. So God bless you. Thanks for creating opportunities for our CCU students. Let's give Ken Buck a round of applause here.
Thank you, folks.